He stomped a squirrel, quoted Heath Ledger, and cried when his Edgelord character died. This is the tale of Malice Creed, and trust me, it only gets worse from here. This story begins on Facebook. The original poster was looking for a D&D group in his city, and that's where he found one. The group seemed incredible. The DM had the coolest miniature collection, a whole shelf of rulebooks, and actual 3D printed terrain for the maps. His wife even made homemade food for the entire party before every session. The bard had a habit of showing up early to help her prepare. It was the kind of group most players can only dream of. It struck the poster as strange that a group this good would need to turn to Facebook to find new players. But there he was, grateful for the opportunity. He felt a little out of place, though, because when he arrived, everybody else was cosplaying their characters while he was, in his own words, cosplaying a balding man in his 30s wearing a black veil bride's shirt. Already a promising start. A DM who prints terrain, a wife who cooks for the table, players who cosplay. This is the kind of group people write love letters about, so naturally it's about to be ruined by one person. Enter Malice Creed. He seemed like a nice enough guy at first. Didn't talk too much, but that's fine. After an hour or so of socializing, the game began. The party was in the middle of a prison break scenario, so the poster and Malice were introduced as prisoners that the existing party meets along the way. The poster introduced his character, Nest, a half-elf rogue arrested for yet another robbery. This was his umpteenth time behind bars, and he was scheduled to be hanged. Simple, clean, workable backstory. Then Malice Creed introduces his character. Malice Creed, dwarf hexblade, sits in his cell. 2 red eyes glow from the slits of his helmet. He refuses to say why he's imprisoned. The DM immediately stopped him. Wait, his helmet. There's no helmet, this is a prison. He can't have any armor or weapons. This is already the first red flag, and they haven't even started playing yet. The character is literally in a prison cell, wearing a prisoner's tunic, and this player has decided he's wearing full plate armor with glowing eyes. Classic Edgelord move. Make your character too cool for the setting before you even know what the setting is. Malice had an explanation, of course. Anytime somebody tried to remove his armor, they instantly died of a heart attack, so the guards just put him in prison with it on. No, the DM said, that never happened. He's wearing a prisoner's tunic like everybody else. This is the correct handling, by the way. Shut it down, draw a clear line, and let the player correct themselves. Obviously this player won't correct himself, but you have to give them the chance. Still, we're barely a few minutes into the session, and already we can see this player is divorced from reality. The DM described the rest of the party, and everyone got their chances to roleplay. There were a few exchanges, and everything went pretty well. But then they tried to talk to Malice. They asked him why he was in prison, but he said he wasn't about to trauma dump. Any other questions about who he was were met with short, condescending responses. The Druid in the party kept a pet squirrel named Sniffles. She instructed Sniffles to go fetch the prison keys. The little squirrel listened and dutifully ran toward them, passing right by Malice's cell. I stomped the squirrel, Malice said. The entire table went silent. Dice were rolled, and yes, the squirrel was crushed. Let's pause here, they are in a prison break. The squirrel was fetching keys that would free everyone, including Malice. He killed the one creature trying to help him escape, and he did it because he thought it would look cool. This isn't chaotic neutral. This is just stupid. The Druid looked heartbroken. Malice's response, I'm chaotic neutral, you can't control me, I'm an agent of chaos like Heath Ledger. Try not to take it personally. 2 wildly untrue things in the span of 5 seconds. Chaotic neutral does not mean you get to do whatever you want, but it attracts all the wrong people. It's probably the most misused alignment in the entire game. If you're playing with a total stranger and they announce chaotic neutral, take it as a red flag. And comparing yourself to Heath Ledger's Joker while playing a dwarf who just stomped a squirrel, the disrespect to that man's legacy is staggering. As the party snuck through the prison halls, Malice was busy describing how he littered the corridors with blood, and that he had actually allowed the guards to arrest him, because they were annoying him. Then their first encounter began. 3 guards caught them, simple enough, but Malice had to make it dramatic. Get behind me, he said. I enter my battle stance. 1 leg raised, 2 fists brandished like knives. My armor creaks as I prepare my attack. Your armor doesn't creak, the DM said, more annoyed than before. Your armor doesn't exist because you're not wearing any armor. This led to a 5-minute argument. Malice insisted his armor was there. The DM insisted it wasn't. Eventually Malice went silent and the game continued until one of the guards hit Malice in combat. Then another argument broke out, because Malice claimed his AC was 17 due to his armor. We're now on the second armor argument, for those keeping count. This player is not just delusional about his character, he's actively trying to gain a mechanical advantage from equipment the DM has explicitly said doesn't exist. At some point this stops being roleplay and starts being just straight-up cheating. The argument went on and on until the DM threatened to kick him out. Malice whined and muttered something about his armor magically disappearing, but backed down. The game fell into a pattern after that. Roll stealth. If you succeed, roleplay while sneaking. If you fail, a short battle breaks out. But things got worse when the party split up. The poster, Malice, and the bard went one way. The Druid and the Barbarian went the other. While exploring, the Druid and Barbarian started talking about the new players. I don't like Malice, the Druid said meekly. Me neither, kid, the Barbarian replied. He killed Sniffles. We're stuck with him for now, but I don't know if I can work with him. Don't look so sad. As soon as we're out of this prison, I'll handle him. Smash that constipated look right off his face. This is just in-character banter. Two characters talking privately about someone they don't like. Completely normal D&D. Malice lost it. He immediately interjected out of character. He can't say that, that's party fighting. DM, stop them. Everyone looked at him, confused. The DM asked him what he meant. Malice ranted that the Barbarian was clearly threatening him with PvP, and that he was being forced to conform to another player's play style. Also, he added, I don't have a constipated look on my face, and if I did, he couldn't tell because I'm wearing a helmet. The helmet that doesn't exist. He's still bringing up the helmet. At this point, it's not even about the game anymore. This man has genuinely convinced himself that his character is wearing armor, and no amount of DM rulings will change his mind. The DM was about to snap. He explained that none of that roleplay was directed at Malice out of character, and once again threatened to kick him out. Malice's response was to describe his character appearing in front of the Barbarian. Take that back, or I'll kill you where you stand. The DM didn't even have time to respond before there was a loud thwack from across the table. The Barbarian's player had sniped Malice with a water bottle in real life. Shut up. I won't ask again nicely. Here's the thing about the Barbarian. He's playing a gnome, tiny little character. But in real life this guy is built like a football player. He is by far the biggest person at the table. And Malice, who had been picking fights all session, just got a very real reminder that actions have consequences, even outside the game. Malice immediately fell silent. Time passed and their half of the party ran into another encounter. Back off everyone, Malice said. I'll handle the guards. They told him no. He cannot take 5 guards on his own, but Malice just described how he works alone and always has. Then he started on his backstory. Ever since I was a child, I was a lone wolf. That's who I am. Who I'll always be. Ever since I killed my own family in a fire, I'll never trust anyone to have my back. Ever. The Barbarian interrupted him and rolled initiative. He rolled high and went first. The poster whispered to the Barbarian, let him. He's inviting himself out of the game. Let the trash take itself out. Honestly, I think the Barbarian's player was just done. Everyone was done. But there's a lesson here. Sometimes the best way to deal with an edgelord is to just let them self-destruct. Don't engage with the drama. Don't argue about the armor for the 5th time. Just let them dig their own grave. It's sad, but it usually makes for a good story afterward. They cleared the encounter without issue, regrouped with the rest of the party, and took an intermission. The DM called the original party members, the Barbarian, Druid and Bard, into another room, leaving just Malice and the poster at the table. The poster just scrolled his phone. He didn't want to talk to Malice. Eventually the party came back, and the DM pulled Malice aside to talk in private. The poster spent 20 minutes socializing and had a great conversation with the Barbarian. Turns out the Druid was his daughter. You wouldn't be able to tell by looking at him because he looked so young, but his protectiveness of the Druid suddenly made a lot more sense. Malice and the DM returned and the game resumed. The party was now on top of the prison roof, taking a short rest and trying to come up with an escape plan. But every plan that was proposed got shot down by Malice. He explained how all of them were flawed. Eventually the Barbarian asked him what his plan was. He didn't have one. But he said, I don't need a right answer to know the wrong one. You're going to get us all killed. He talked about how he doesn't trust anybody but himself, and dropped more backstory. His parents were killed in a fire. His first love betrayed him. Ever since then, he trusts no one. Every few minutes, he would point out a flaw in someone's plan or describe how hopeless their situation was, always with added anecdotes about his mental illnesses and his cursed bloodline that supposedly makes him stronger. I want to point something out here. This man has contributed nothing to the group. Zero. He stomped the escape Squirrel, he argued about non-existent armor, he threatened other players, and now he's shooting down every plan without offering an alternative. He is dead weight with a tragic backstory, and the tragic backstory isn't even interesting. Dead parents, lone wolf, cursed bloodline. It's every edgelord cliché stacked on top of each other like a sad sandwich. Eventually the party came up with a plan despite Malice's objections. They would sneak into the yard, hide in shipping crates and smuggle themselves out. Malice reluctantly agreed but added, I can see the future and the outcome is bleak. The DM clarified that no, he cannot see the future. Oh, but I can, Malice said with a weird grin. This won't end well. They snuck into the yard. The bard lagged behind, got spotted by a guard but quickly dispatched him. All was going according to plan except for one problem. A guard was watching the crates they needed to hide in. That's when the barbarian turned to the bard and said in true Lord of the Rings fashion, toss me. The bard hurled the gnome barbarian at the guard. A flying tornado of a gnome split the guard in half. They snuck into the crates and prepared for freedom. All except Malice. He described himself drinking the guard's blood. We don't have time for this, the bard said. Malice's response, they would be foolish to stop me. I feed on weaklings who forfeit their lives. Would you stop being an edgelord for 1 second? The barbarian said, more annoyed than ever. I'm not an edgelord, it's what my character would do. It's what my character would do. The 6 most dangerous words in D&D, every problem player's favorite shield. My character wouldn't help. My character wouldn't cooperate. My character would drink blood while the party is trying to escape a prison. At some point you have to ask yourself, if your character can't function in a group, why did you bring them to a group game? Malice got inside his crate. He then described his character grunting in pain. The visions, they're coming back. Oh, shut up, said the DM. I see it now. The reason this plan is doomed to fail, nobody responded. The DM described the party feeling their crates being lifted and carried toward a wagon. Freedom was within reach. Then, out of character, Malice spoke to everyone at the table. You all better apologize for teaming up on me and calling me an edgelord, or I'll get us all caught. This is the moment where you kick him out. No discussion. He just openly threatened to sabotage the game unless the other players apologized for his own behavior. There is no universe where you keep this person at the table after this. None. But they didn't kick him out. The barbarian just said, nope, you won't do that. You're going to relax and we're going to finish this session. A grin cracked on Malice's face. I jump out of the box. Chaos will reign. Everyone rolled initiative. The first person to get hit was Malice, who immediately denied it happened. His armor had reappeared, returning to its master, he claimed. At this point the DM just checked out. He ignored Malice entirely. After a couple of rounds, Malice noticed the DM never addressed him for his turn. He whined about it. The DM didn't acknowledge him. The game just kept moving. So Malice, in character, started talking about his backstory in between rounds of combat. The barbarian swings his axe. Malice talks about his dead parents. The bard buffs the party. Malice talks about the demon inside him. It went on and on. Just picture it for a moment. A massive battle breaking out, guards everywhere, and in the middle of it all, a dwarf in a prisoner's tunic, standing perfectly still, trauma dumping to nobody. Everyone has just formed a wide circle around him, not because they're afraid, but because his behavior is so repulsive that they don't want his toxic energy staining their weapons. The guards gained the upper hand as the party wore down. Then the druid pulled out a horn. I don't want to have to use this, but I have no other choice. She blew into it, and a dragon flew into the prison yard, burning it to the ground. The distraction was enough. The party finished off the remaining guards and prepared their escape. But then Malice spoke. Wait, Druid, I challenge you to a duel. Everyone stared at him, but the Druid accepted. To the death. When your character dies, he's gone, the Druid said. They both accepted the terms. It was a close battle, but in the end Malice won fair and square. He prepared the killing blow. That's when the barbarian stepped in. He used a reckless attack and struck Malice down at the last second. Well, that's not fair, Malice said. That's against the rules, I never agreed to anything. Looks like your character is dead, the bard said. The bard began picking up the druid while the barbarian finished off Malice. DM, stop him, he's killing me. The DM continued ignoring him, and that's how Malice Creed died. Malice got red in the face and freaked out. Ever since the beginning, everybody ganged up on me. It's not fair. I can't do anything cool, but the Barbarian gets to accuse me of being an edgelord and an AMOG all over the group without any consequences. And the DM gets to take away everything that makes my character cool. His face and eyes got redder by the second. A tear rolled down his face. That's when the Barbarian stood up, grabbed the poster and Malice by the shoulders, lifted them both up, and gently but firmly pushed them out of the house. Now the poster didn't even do anything wrong. He just quietly took his turns and engaged in light roleplay. The bard didn't say much either, but the bard didn't get kicked out. The most likely explanation is that the Barbarian assumed the poster and Malice came together, since they both joined from Facebook at the same time. Guilt by association. Outro. And that's the tale of Malice Creed. A player so committed to being an edgelord that he stomped a squirrel, argued about imaginary armor for an entire session, threatened to sabotage the game, challenged the wrong person to a duel, and then cried when it all fell apart. There's a steep difference between a genuinely cool dark character and whatever Malice was doing. A good dark character has depth, restraint, and knows when to let others have the spotlight. Malice had none of that. He was insecure, sensitive, and blew up the moment his ego was challenged, which, ironically, is the exact opposite of cool. If you enjoyed this story, the full playlist is in the description, and if you have your own D&D horror story, we'd love to hear it.